Welcome to Decaf from the roof of the Virgin Hotel downtown. Mark and I are at a conference this week, and we realized that we had to record the podcast at some point. And so here we are, sitting on a rooftop with name tags on.
It's our first It's our first in person since our
since the staff retreat.
Yeah. So it's been about 8 months. Yeah, we're back to how it used to be.
Gosh, back in Mark's presence. Kind of weird. I don't know if I like it. So Mark, this is not the first big media thing that you've done this week, because this is a big media thing.
Yes, it's huge.
It's huge.
Deal.
Mark did something pretty cool. Last week, he was featured on the premiere of a corporate welfare documentary, and then immediately following did a panel with one of the other fellows that was mentioned in the documentary. You may have heard of him, Shelby County Mayor Lee. His last name is Lee, right?
No.
What, his first name is Lee?
Yeah, Lee Harris.
Lee Harris.
And he also was not in the documentary. Otis was, though.
Otis was. Professor Otis.
So outside of everything being wrong,
right.
the documentary was on PBS.
But you were featured in a panel with Mayor Lee Harris and Professor Otis right after the documentary aired. And the panel and the documentary both were picked up by one of our idols.
Yeah, John Stossel, we all love. He's
pretty freaking huge.
Originally from Give Me a Break. He did the Give Me a Break section on 60 Minutes, but he's great. And he wrote an op-ed and talked about kind of the corporate welfare issue and why, it should be a conservative type issue or libertarian issue. And it was a really great exposure for Beacon, but for the issue generally.
Sure.
And it was funny because I got to talk to Mayor Harris, like you said, and he is excellent. He's a Democrat, but he's very, very fiscally conservative. Mm-hmm. And just hearing it from like kind of the other side of the aisle, but talking about corporate welfare in the same way that we do, it's encouraging. And I think that as it seems like we're starting to move the needle on that a little bit.
Well, yeah, and I think that it's really great for people on the right to jump on this because, we talk about that we only agree with AOC, which we'll get to her later, but we only agree with her on matters of corporate welfare. And I think a lot of people on the right say, well, we have to have economic development. It's like, well, how can you possibly call corporate welfare economic development? And they really unpacked that well and talked about it in a really civil way. And it was something that someone from the right and someone from the left could really agree on. And so if you haven't seen that documentary, it's on YouTube.
And I would point to one more thing. I think we talk about capitalism so much, and we, people on the right of center, and economically, we defend it. Mm-hmm. It's hard when the reason people don't like capitalism is for stuff that has nothing to do with capitalism. Yes. It has to be the government getting involved in capitalism, and corporate welfare is the biggest issue. So like, what I don't like about capitalism is that rich people get tax breaks, normal people don't get. That's an exact example of that, and it's not capitalism. It's government interference in the system.
Agreed.
So that's what we need to talk about, to kind of because capitalism is a bad name, but not because it's bad. It's because people don't understand it.
Right. Speaking of someone who doesn't understand capitalism, AOC. I don't know, Mark, if you watch the Met Gala. I watch the red carpet every year. I love the dresses. I love the outfits. I say I love them. I mostly hate them, but I love to see them. And one that I hated this year was AOC going to the Met Gala, $30,000 ticket with a dress on that says "Tax the Rich." That made no sense. Like, Alex, I'll take tone deaf for $2,000, please. Like, that made absolutely no sense at all in her classic form. It was so grossly tone deaf. Did you even see that?
I saw some of the pictures. Obviously, I don't watch garbage, so I didn't see it live. But I saw a lot of.
You kind of do watch garbage.
Well, not the same kind of garbage you do. But I saw a lot of it's funny because it felt like the Met Gala was kind of like a Jersey Shore boardwalk. People apparently they had they like to have names on their shirts, and they just put a bunch of stupid words, and they think that it's funny. Because that wasn't the only one. There's some actually really a lot grosser ones than that. Something about the patriarchy, which I'm not going to repeat.
Yeah, we're not going to repeat that.
But it was no.
Cara Delevingne embarrassed herself.
Yeah, and it's like it's soup. It just reminds me of the trashiness of a Jersey Shore boardwalk. Yes. That's what it felt like. People wearing the stupid sayings on their shirt, and that's what they did at this thing.
And people who were just dumb. Just straight up not smart.
Well, why do people care about the Met Gala either?
It is a charity event, and they call it Fashion's Biggest Night. And but they also
the
wear
Met
things,
is an art gallery.
Yes, but they do exhibits on fashion and things like that. And so it's like a huge thing for celebrities to come and wear these crazy insane outfits. Everybody hated Casey Musgrave's outfit because it looked like a normal outfit that you would wear on a night out. Go figure. But I just thought that her outfit was so tone deaf. They were all the ones that make political statements. I'm like, can we not?
And I will say that it's not just us. Michael Rappaport, who was kind of a left of center actor, was like, "This is so insane.
Yes.
What are you doing? It doesn't look good for you to say all these things. Either you or somebody else paid $30,000. You're hanging out with these rich people all night. That's the point of this, right? It's all these famous people, and then you're yelling about taxing them. It's like if you really wanted to make a statement, don't go.
Just
That
don't
would be
go.
the statement, right? And say, oh, you know what, I'm not going to be in this. I'm not going to allow these rich people to throw around money. How much were the dresses, too? I mean, I'm sure that some of them were millions of dollars.
So much money on these dresses, and she's saying tax the rich. So you want to tax yourself and all the other people.
Yeah, here's the thing. She's rich now.
I know.
I mean, she's in that upper 1%.
She's rich now.
I did see that. There's a great meme. I saw actually Lou Perez, our friend Lou Perez, where he said they had the guy she was dating. He's like, if this isn't white privilege, I don't know what is. That guy can date her. It's like this nerdy looking weirdo.
No,
yeah.
He's like not cute at all.
No,
like
he's
objectively
not.
speaking, even if he was a conservative, I would still say he's not cute.
Yeah, say what you want about IOC. She is a good looking woman though, but everything else not great.
She's kind of dumb though.
Well, I don't know if she's dumb, but she just
like
does
nice on the outside. What's going on the inside?
She does not agree with us, and she's right on one or two issues, and everything else she's horrible on.
Well, yeah, and some of the things she says don't make sense at all. Maybe she's not dumb, but a lot of things she says don't make sense. So let's talk about football for a second. Speaking of things that did not make sense at all, huge upsets last week. There is nothing more beautiful other than, the most beautiful thing in the world is seeing Auburn lose. The next most beautiful thing in the world is seeing Ohio State lose. And boy, was that a treat.
At home, too. Now, here's the thing. Don't forget, Stephanie gave us money. She donated money, so we need to talk about her teams. Ohio State had a really, really bad showing. I mean, they were pretty much outplayed the entire game by a good Oregon team.
We said we'd talk about them, so we're talking about them.
No, we're going to do something positive about the Browns. But yeah, that was a huge upset. Oregon outplay them from top to bottom. Arkansas pulled a big upset. They want to get Texas, so shout out to Suze on that one.
Yeah, our coworker Suzanne.
Yes.
She's a woo pig.
That's
so
right.
That was huge for her. And then Jacksonville State University, where both of my parents went to college and met, beat Florida State. That was
I didn't
wild.
know that.
Yeah, we're Gamecocks. We are Gamecocks in our family. My parents met at JSU, and so that was a really huge and really exciting thing to see.
And they
them
are not.
beat
I mean,
FSU.
they are not an FBS team. So
No.
I mean, they are the next level down. So I mean, that is an embarrassing loss for Florida State.
Great.
That's the kind of loss that should get your coach fired.
Yes,
to be honest.
yes, that was huge.
But
and
great
really
for
fun.
Jacksonville State winning.
Yes, go Gamecocks.
Yes.
And then for Stephanie, we'll talk about the Browns. You know, I don't really follow the NFL. I follow Derrick Henry because he's the love of my life. But Stephanie's been a Browns fan forever and ever, and they've often disappointed her.
Always disappointed her.
And is this year going to be any different, Mark? What are your predictions for the year?
They are good. They're a good team this year. And before we get into this, I do want to say that if you donate any money, if you listen to this podcast and you are a new donor, we will talk about your team.
Yes.
And we'll give you a shout out on this podcast if you want to. We have a cool thing that we're doing with our development team, but if you donate any money, including $1 a month to Beacon,
yes,
we will talk about your team. So I want to talk about the Browns, and honestly, they might be the second best team in the AFC. They went on the road and played a tough game against Patrick Mahomes, who, I mean, they were Super Bowl champions 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They were in the Super Bowl last year. The Browns have a very, very bright future. They have a good team. Nick Chubb is one of the elite running backs in the league. Odell Beckham is still hurt, but he will be back soon. You know he is.
Oh, I know. Everybody knows who he is.
And I think it all comes down to what Baker Mayfield is. I don't care for him personally. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but he's shown improvement in the past 2 years.
Okay.
If they put it together and their defense plays what they did, and fantasy wise, just a good. If you have Jarvis Landry from the Browns, start him this week with Odell Beckham out again. He's poised to have 8-9 catches. But for Stephanie, who donated money, so that's what we're talking about this, the Browns have a great chance to make the AFC Championship game. And you have to remember, they lost to Kansas City on the road. If they're playing that game at home in the playoffs, they could be going to the Super Bowl. There's a real chance. I wouldn't bet on it, but they will make the playoffs, and they should compete.
You heard it here first. The Browns may make a real run for it this year.
They should.
Last thing we're going to chat about before we sign off and go back into our conference is big loss for comedy this week. Norm Macdonald, who was in the first ever SNL skit that I ever saw. And then I actually was looking up on YouTube, and some folks were sending me things about him just like absolutely roasting Hillary Clinton, saying things that you could never get away with now. We lost him this week. And you know what I think is like such a beautiful thing is in the age of COVID where all these celebrities they'll post on Instagram and say, I tested positive today, but don't worry, me and my family are safe in quarantine. He fought cancer for 10 years and didn't make a show of it. And that is a man of integrity, a man who's truly here to work hard, care for himself, care for his family, and what a loss.
Yeah, and so first of all, he didn't tell people about his cancer because he wanted people to judge him on his comedy. He didn't want people to feel bad for him, and he wanted to laugh because they liked him.
Yes.
Another fun fact, he is a libertarian. He was very aligned with almost.
That.
Oh yeah, he was like super libertarian.
Gosh.
He was really aligned with everything he said. One of I don't think I've ever seen somebody pass who got just everybody universal plaudits as one of the funniest people the most unique and funniest people. He was on those roasts. He was always super funny.
Yes.
I mean, he did these one of his most famous clips. He did this late night show where this woman, like, and you know how like in late night show they talk about, oh, like you have to promote your movie.
Yes.
This woman was in a new movie with Carrot Top, and they're like, oh, you haven't come up with a name with it. He's like, I have a name if it's Carrot Top, and it box office poison. He interrupted her saying that, and then they said, oh no, it's called The Boardroom. He's like, oh, I bet you can't make anything about that, Norm. Like, it's board spelled B-O-R-E-D.
Oh my gosh.
He was just so quick-witted,
so quick.
so funny, and just I mean, one of the biggest laws. And I feel like celebrities, it's always sad when they die, right?
Sure.
Especially Chadwick Boseman was one that
Chadwick Boseman was hard.
But this one was really tough, and I know Sam, my friend, really took it hard. But like, he is 61 years old, was in good shape, and just is a really funny guy. And this one actually, it does hurt. It hurts. It feels like you're losing kind of a friend or something.
Wasn't really prepared.
No,
like,
I know.
We
Nobody
didn't
had
know
any
he was
idea.
sick and weren't really prepared for it. So, so all the Norm Macdonald fans out there who are having a tough week, we feel you. But we can learn so much from him to handle things with integrity and with grit, and just be a friend to people
and be
be
yourself.
funny. Just
be yourself. Yeah,
be
be yourself. I mean, his brand of humor is not normal stuff you saw in stand-up comedy. So like, he just knew what he was, and like, it is a real loss. And I think you have so few. Not maybe that's, but there's not a lot of celebrities that aren't divisive and like really just bring smiles to people's faces. And he was one of them. And like you said, I mean, the O.J. Simpson stuff he did too was so fantastic.
Just so good. Just a roast. Every single thing was a roast.
He actually apparently got fired on SNL because he made so many O.J. Simpson jokes, and they didn't like that. Which is like incredible. He is just the greatest thing.
What a guy.
And also he's in Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo.
Okay.
If you want to see a great.
No, don't ever listen to Mark. He has terrible taste.
He's in it.
Mark makes fun of me for my love life, for my appearance, for every single thing.
Stop! Don't say appearance.
I had crazy.
I didn't say that.
Earlier this week, I had like crazy nails, and we got on our staff Zoom call, and I said something about my nails triggering people, and Mark goes, "I'm triggered. I'm absolutely triggered by that." So
not what happened, and not at all how that went, but not your appearance at all. The things you choose to put on your nails, different.
Yes, and the people I choose to date.
Yes.
And yet Mark watches
and yet
these
you
movies.
Agree on this.
I do agree with that. I have really bad taste in men. And then Mark watches all these movies and is like, if you want to watch a good movie, watch.
I didn't say good movie. I said if you want to see Norman. I think it's funny. I agree that it might not be. And Dirty Work with Artie Lang too. Oh man, just so many good stuff. Norm is an absolute legend. Even if he's in a bad movie, he's still good in it.
I agree. Don't you just love that about a person? That's awesome. Well, donate to us and get us to talk about some of your sports teams.
Any sports team too. We'll talk about a soccer team. I mean, we'll look it up. I don't know anything about soccer or golf.
We'll figure it out.
You talk about golf.
I'll talk about golf. Mark will look up soccer. We'll do whatever.
Do your kid's high school basketball team. I don't care. We'll look up stats and we can do an analysis of the high school basketball team. Anything. Just donate $1 a month. That's all it is, and we will talk about anything you want. That's appropriate, basically.
That's appropriate. Yes. And his standard for appropriate is way different than mine. And
low bar.
So basically, we'll talk about anything. So remember, donate, hear your team shout it out this fall, and we'll see you next week.